The princess expresses that she loves Yulia, saying that she is very sweet and just like an angel. Yulia responds that Primera is her precious princess, speaking gently despite what she is feeling inside. Yulia is deeply saddened by the fact that she knows that the princess is the villain ahead in the story, and she cannot stop wondering why she became such a villain in the first place. The protagonist's name is Yulia von Fandido, and she is a lower-ranking noble of the Kingdom of Crown, born as the firstborn daughter of Baron Fandido. When she was still a baby, she regained all the memories of her past life, and she remained calm about it, later stating that it was not surprising that she had that look on her face. Before she was reincarnated, she had been an ordinary office worker, a nobody who was mediocre at everything, someone who had already given up on romance and on living any kind of extraordinary lifestyle. The only thing she truly looked forward to was her Automa game, and even on that day she was completely absorbed in a new game she had started. It was a cold winter day, and she was stingy and did not want to turn on the heater, yet she never expected that she would die so easily. After that, someone calls out to Yulia and asks where she is, and she responds that she is here and that she is coming now. Since being reincarnated, she has been working as a maid at the prince's palace, and during that time she begins to notice something important, that the Automa game she had been obsessed with just before her death is exactly like this world. Although there was no character called Yulia in the game, and her role as a nobody does not seem to have changed even after reincarnation, there is still one thing that is different. The princess calls out to Yulia, and with tears in her eyes she asks why Yulia is not by her side, causing Yulia to blush as she looks at her and thinks that she truly resembles an angel, and it is an undeniable fact that this country's princess, Primera, is for some reason extremely fond of Yulia. Yulia herself knows that this situation is very unbelievable, because this very same princess is destined to grow up and become the villain in that Otome game, where the princess appears in front of the heroine and coldly tells her that someone like her is not worthy of standing beside the person she loves. In her previous life, Yulia always felt very irritated whenever the princess appeared, because she was the rival character who showed up in front of the heroine, making snide remarks and challenging her through constant mind games, something that happened in many similar games. Now, Yulia realizes that the timeline of this world is probably set before the game even begins, and because of that, she cannot allow the princess who loves her so deeply to grow up into that kind of person. Yulia thinks to herself that she feels the same way for that person as well, referring to the princess's mother, who once asked Yulia whether she had been looking at that flower over there and then said that she loved that flower too. The princess's mother was the mistress who received the affection of the king, and she treated Yulia kindly despite Yulia only being an apprentice maid, even telling her that when the child was born, she should hold her as well. However, the mistress passed away while giving birth to the princess, and the thought that she would never see that gentle and beautiful person again filled her with sadness. The king became deeply frustrated and commanded everyone to quickly find someone who could calm the princess down because she would not stop crying, ordering them not to worry about social status and to simply bring anyone who could soothe her in a hurry, and that was when Yulia decided to take care of the princess herself. She thought of the princess as a poor child who was always surrounded by people she could not rely on, and from that moment on she resolved to protect her no matter what, even though she was still only an apprentice maid without any particular specialty. As she was passing by one day, she overheard some maids complaining and questioning why beginner magic books kept piling up, saying they only wanted to clean them away, and hearing this gave Yulia an idea, so she called out to them. Since she had been reincarnated into a world of swords and magic, she remembered spells from the game, and she believed that by learning defensive magic she might gain a chance to become a maid who could protect the princess. She summoned her power, but only a tiny flame appeared, which made her recoil in surprise because she had imagined something far more dramatic, and when she tried other types of magic such as water magic, wind magic, and earth magic, she began to wonder why her magic was so weak. This realization made her feel depressed, as she feared that she did not possess much magical power at all, and at this rate she would never be chosen as the princess's maid, especially since the princess would soon be transferred from the inner palace to the princess quarters, meaning Yulia would no longer be able to see her. Thinking desperately about what she could do, She considers her own specialty and realizes that she can at least make tea well enough to be praised, so she asks to be excused and requests to use the kitchen for a while. While standing there, she tells herself that if she cannot use powerful magic, then she should try something else, and she uses her weak magical power to prepare tea, carefully controlling the amount of water with water magic and gently heating it with fire magic, because using delicate force is something she can manage precisely due to her weak magic. Everyone who tastes the tea finds it delicious, including the princess, and Yulia expresses that it is the first time she has ever drunk tea this good, which makes Yulia happy as she sees how fond the princess is of it. The way she used her magic demonstrates her ability as a maid, and her use of magic is acknowledged as an unprecedented genre. 3 years later, guards notice her and comment that she is the maid who uses that strange magic, wondering aloud whether she is not the top candidate to become the princess's maid, while also calling her a plain and unfriendly-looking woman and saying that it is not strange for a maid to never make a social debut, since her job is probably her lover. When the princess hears them speaking like that, she immediately tells them that no one understands Yulia. Yulia tells the princess that it is enough for her that she understands her, and upon hearing this, the princess grows a little sad as she quietly asks whether Yulia will eventually leave her side one day in order to become someone's wife. Yulia is completely taken aback by this question, yet at the same time she feels unexpectedly happy, and she quickly tells the princess not to worry, assuring her that she will always remain her maid and stay by her side. In her heart, Yulia makes a firm decision that she will continue to serve the princess and protect her, doing everything she can to prevent the future where the princess becomes the villain of that game. At the same time, she also understands realistically that there is no truly respectable person who would ever choose someone like her, which only strengthens her resolve. One day, a man notices her and remarks that she must be the rumored impregnable maid, and Yulia reflects to herself that she does not actually know how everything will unfold in the game, but even if there is no villain at all, the story of this world should still continue. As the princess's maid, she decides that her role is clear, and that role is to remain by the princess's side and make her happy no matter what happens. Yulia tells the princess to please listen to her, but the princess immediately responds with a firm no, causing Yulia to raise her voice and scold her, saying that she is sure she has already said many times that she cannot have more than one snack. The princess snaps back, telling Yulia to shut up and angrily saying that she wishes she had never told Yulia anything in the first place, and Yulia quickly realizes that continuing is useless. The princess becomes even angrier and screams that Yulia is very annoying, leaving Yulia completely taken aback by those words, and after some time passes, Yulia stands alone on the balcony and sighs, admitting to herself that the princess truly was being annoying. Yulia has been reborn into the world of Otome games, and every single day she struggles to change the fate of the princess who is the daughter of a villainess, yet the princess constantly orders Yulia around, demanding that she prepare snacks and insisting that Yulia respond immediately whenever she is called. Yulia notices that the princess's selfish behavior and overeating are getting worse with each passing day, and when she tries once again to warn her, starting to say as she always does that eating too many snacks is bad, she is cut off before finishing her sentence by other maids who say that it is fine if it is just snacks, because they do not want to be yelled at by the princess. Those maids even tell Yulia that it would be better if she were not so strict, and Yulia understands that they are all indulging the princess excessively, especially when the butler brings in the finest baked sweets ordered specifically for her. The princess immediately takes them and starts eating, and at that moment Yulia notices something important, realizing that the princess is not eating because she truly wants to, but rather as if she is fighting frustration with nowhere else to release it, and that sight becomes more common as time goes by. Yulia becomes certain that the princess has been feeling lonely, because even though she is surrounded by people, they only see her as a princess, and above all, the main source of this loneliness is His Majesty, Primera's father, who dotes on Primera as a forgotten keepsake of his concubine. The king lifts her up and tells her to show him that pretty face more often, then orders Arrowbird to take care of her as her older brother, firmly stating that it would not do for the crown prince of the country to act like a child, to which he calmly responds that he understands. Primera then asks her father what about her, and he replies that she is fine just the way she is, calling her his beautiful daughter and saying that she resembles his mother so much that he wants to watch her grow up. However, the princess is too intelligent to accept those words at face value, and she begins to overthink, wondering if her father does not expect anything from her because she will eventually be married off somewhere, and even though she neglects her studies and duties day after day, since she is a woman, it is lamentable how she is simply spoiled by the king's mercy in the same way he once treated her mother. Yulia thinks that the concubine was a very horrible person, yet no matter how much His Majesty loved his concubine, it is still difficult to hate the princess, and so Yulia tells Errol Bey that they are leaving, to which he replies all right as he follows behind her. Yulia herself has a father who loves her like a pet animal, a mother who does not acknowledge her no matter how hard she tries, and a brother with whom she cannot grow close under her mother's supervision, and she remembers that in the end, the crown prince is nothing more than a captured elephant. She recalls the words that Primera shouted in the game, that there are people who love him so he should not steal her family away from her, and now Yulia finally understands what she was feeling when she said those words. Even so, as the princess's maid, Yulia wishes she could always stay on the princess's side, yet she remembers being called annoying earlier that day, which is why she cannot simply keep giving in to her whims by offering snacks whenever she demands them. Thinking of a solution, Yulia approaches the princess and tells her that it is time for tea, and the princess immediately compliments it, saying that the tea Yulia makes is always the best. Yulia replies that hearing the princess enjoy her tea makes her very happy, and she adds that she also made a chiffon cake for today's snack, prompting the princess to question her about it, and Yulia almost mentions her previous life before correcting herself and saying that she used to make it quite a lot back in her hometown. The princess says that there is no sponge inside, so it cannot be a cake like this, yet when she takes a bite she is completely surprised, because she finds it very delicious, and Yulia feels relieved and glad to see that the princess likes it. Yulia explains that since it is not good to eat too much sugar and she was thinking about the princess's body, she deliberately did not make it very sweet, to which the princess comments that Yulia always takes such good care of her health, and Yulia replies simply that it is because she wants the princess to be well. Hearing this, the princess becomes emotional and says that just like she thought, she really loves Yulia, and then asks quietly if she is not a bad princess after all, and Yulia answers that she does not know what is good or what is bad, but she does know that she likes the princess very much. She tells her that because of that, the princess does not have to eat sweets if she does not want to, and whenever she feels lonely, Yulia will stay by her side. Tears gather in the princess's eyes as she asks Yulia what she is saying, insisting that she never eats when she does not want to, and she takes Yulia's words the wrong way, beginning to cry and saying that even Yulia only says such things because she is a princess. Yulia hurriedly tries to explain that it is not what she meant, but the princess yells at her not to talk to her, declaring that she is not lonely and that Yulia should leave her alone, before storming out of the room and leaving Yulia completely stunned. Yulia wishes desperately that the princess will forgive her and blames herself, thinking that she must have said something careless and wondering if it was her own ego speaking, because to a girl whose only wish is to feel familial love, what can a mere maid like her really do? Tears fill Yulia's eyes as she thinks this, yet even then, her only wish is to make the princess happy. When the princess turns back and sees Yulia crying, she grows worried and asks what happened, asking if Yulia is hurting somewhere, and Yulia answers that it is not that, but that she is sad because she feels incapable of doing anything for the princess. She says that ever since the princess was a baby, she has only ever looked at her most important Primera, and that she truly wants her to be happy in the future. The princess asks softly if Yulia is crying for her, and when Yulia answers yes, she asks again if Yulia is worried about her, and Yulia once more answers yes, prompting the princess to say that Yulia cries too much. Soon even the princess begins to cry, asking if she is really that important to Yulia, and then starts apologizing, and seeing the princess cry only makes Yulia cry harder as she asks why the princess is crying, to which the princess answers that it is because she is really happy. After some time, the princess tells Yulia that from now on she should call her Primera, but Yulia hesitates and says that since she never had a social debut, she cannot call her by her name, and the princess reassures her that it is fine and that she can call her that when they are alone. She also confesses that she always wished Yulia were her mother, even though she knows that considering Yulia's age she would be more like an older sister, and because of that, when it is just the two of them, she wants Yulia to call her the way a mother would. The princess then promises that she will try not to eat too many snacks anymore and that she will not be so selfish, saying that her real mother gave birth to her, and because Yulia said that she was important, she wants to answer those feelings so that she will not feel ashamed when facing both her mothers. With a smile, she tells Yulia that she will become a fine princess, and Yulia wonders if her mother is watching over her somewhere, feeling that the princess already seems unlikely to become the villain Primera, though at that time she does not yet know what lies ahead. Elsewhere, a man tells Aldert that he must bring the Baum family to fulfillment and arrange for Lady Primera to become engaged to his son, Dean, and Yulia remains unaware that from that moment on, even greater challenges are waiting for them. At the age of 21, after living as an ordinary office lady, Yulia was reincarnated at the very beginning of the world of an Otome game, and now, in the present, she serves in the princess's palace as the head maid. The princess, who is as cute as ever, has grown up straight and healthy, becoming a beautiful girl who is free from selfishness and maintains her slender physique through a balanced diet, and one day she casually asks whether she has finally gotten engaged after all. It turns out that the matter of her engagement has already been arranged, and Yulia feels uneasy about it, thinking that for someone like her who retains memories of a past life, being engaged to a man the princess has never even met is not something she can feel pleased about. The princess calls out to Yulia and asks what kind of person Count Dielwan Baum is, wondering if Yulia knows anything about him, and Yulia answers that she has heard the name before but does not know what kind of person he is, while in truth she is thinking that she knows him very well. Dean is one of the capture targets of the game, and while he is Primera's fiancé, he is also an apprentice knight who eventually becomes attracted to the heroine, leading to a straight-laced romance that results in a refreshing and well-received ending for Primera after overcoming various obstacles. However, aside from the bad ending, there also exists a secret ending in the game, where Dean's true nature is revealed, and in that ending he turns out to be overly romantic, openly declaring that he always wanted to be stepped on by her feet and made into her servant, and while Yulia understands that some people have such tastes, she absolutely cannot allow Primera to be dragged into something like that. In the original game, the princess fell in love with him at first sight and personally asked His Majesty about the engagement, but this time the wedding has already been decided without that process, and when the princess says that she is looking forward to meeting him and simply hopes that he is a kind person, Yulia notices that unlike in the game, Primera does not seem particularly interested in him, making Yulia realize that Primera's story is already being written differently. Determined not to let her lady get hurt, Yulia thinks that Dean must possess both intelligence and restraint, and for that reason she must ensure that the two of them can properly meet face to face at the tea party, so she gives orders for all the tableware to be arranged correctly and asks where the staff for the day are. The other waits react in surprise, saying that it is just as expected of the head wait of the princess palace and praising her for holding such an impressive baton, while Yulia herself continues to wonder what the true reason behind this marriage is. She tries to recall whether Dean might have fallen in love with the princess at first sight, yet she cannot remember how he would have seen her for the first time, nor can she see a pattern where Primera is shaken by his one-sided feelings, making her question whether this situation might be just as dangerous as it was in the game. When the day finally arrives, Yulia greets the guests politely, saying that they have been expecting them, and Elder Sorbaum of the Kono Knights introduces himself, apologizing for the intrusion as he accompanies his little brother on such a special day. Yulia replies that she is the one in charge of serving them today as the head maid of the princess's palace, and she recognizes him as Dean's older brother, Alder, knowing that although he only appeared briefly in the hidden ending, he left a strong impression. Alder explains that his little brother is somewhat embarrassed, but says he would be happy if everyone could get along well, and as he smiles, Yulia cannot help but think that he is incredibly handsome in person, with even his voice sounding beautiful. Still, she firmly reminds herself not to be swept away by good looks alone, because above all else she must assess Dean properly, and as a maid, she must conduct herself flawlessly so that she does not bring even the slightest embarrassment to the princess. The tea party ended without an issue. and Yulia received a letter from Alder Sama. "I will do my best to get closer to you," is what he said. But it is probably because he wants his cute brother and the princess engagement to be official. He probably wants to get along so they can cooperate together. In the letter, he thanks her for the pleasant tea party and mentions that he enjoyed the chiffon cake on his way home. He also writes that his brother has begun training to become a strong knight, hoping to one day be worthy of Her Highness, though he admits he worries about him. If it is not inconvenient for her, he asks whether he may invite her again next time. She can't help but think that a handsome man truly writes a handsome letter. Still, this feels like a good sign for Dean. Yet if he becomes too absorbed in his training, she recalls that in the game, Dean's strict knightly apprenticeship was what supposedly triggered his rather questionable fetish. She uses the letter like a little ship, sending him her advice on how to become a proper knight. Writing with the princess's kind heart, she admits she is worried Dean might push himself too hard and end up injured from training. If that ever happens, she asks that they tell Her Highness right away. She also includes a few books as references. The knights in those stories are close to what she imagines as Her Highness's ideal. With that, Dean Sama sets his goal on becoming a knight skilled in both words and sword. After that, she keeps exchanging letters with Alder. As they quietly watch over Dean's growth, they start calling each other by name. It isn't a love letter, but her heart still beats a little faster whenever one arrives from a handsome man. Around this time, she also learns about his playful side. Like the pie he sent the other day, he said it wasn't very good. His mouth, apparently, is used to eating only the best. So then, when is she planning to make pie again? Reading that part, she lets out a shy giggle. The letters they exchanged piled up, and she has come to understand his virtues. Well, of course she is sure he is just using her for the sake of his brother. Regardless, it feels like they have become good friends. Lost in her thoughts, she walks straight into someone and goes down with a small yelp. "I'm so sorry. Are you hurt?" She freezes. So does he. Prince Dean stares at her, eyes wide, clearly recognizing her. Later, they walk side by side. He apologizes again, flustered this time, but she waves it off, saying she's fine. She asks why is he even outside without an escort. He says he came out because he was feeling stuffy and bumped straight into her. After the pause, she asks him if something happened. He suddenly stops. He looks at her, but his eyes keep darting away, clearly nervous. He murmurs this might be sudden, but what does she think of his brother? She looks at him in surprise and asks if he means Prince Alder. Dean nods, a little stiff, and admits he has heard she's been exchanging letters with his brother. He thanks her sincerely for sending such detailed and thoughtful advice. She blinks, then says that kind of thing is only to be expected. When it comes to Prince Alder, she truly thinks he is an excellent person. To be working as an imperial guard at such a young age, with such perfect etiquette and a respectable manner, she can't help but admire him. Dean's face brightens at once. Yes, he says eagerly, he thinks so too. His brother is amazing. But then his voice lowers. There are people who don't think kindly of Alder, especially his current attendant. They constantly speak poorly of his brother while praising Dean instead, as if trying to draw a line between them. Even though Alder is clearly the more admirable one. She watches Dean quietly, understanding settling in. They have different mothers, and Dean is the official successor. Because of jealousy and the issue of succession, outsiders feel free to speak badly about Alder. After a brief pause, Dean admits in a small voice that he wants to become a great knight so he can shut those people up. And with her advice, he plans to work hard at both his training and his studies. Then, as if the words escape him before he can stop them, he blurts out that he would like to ask her to go shopping with him. His cheeks turn pink as he explains he wants to buy a birthday gift for the princess. She stares at him in awe. A few days later, as she steps down from the carriage, Dean waves at Yulia energetically, with his brother standing just behind him. Alder greets her politely and apologizes for his brother's sudden request. She quickly says it's no trouble at all, thanking them for the invitation, though she admits she didn't know Alder would be joining them. He smiles and says it was a request from his cute younger brother, after all. Later, she finds herself seated in an enormous, lavish room, unable to stop looking around. What an incredible place. So this is what people mean by VIP treatment. Her commoner self from her previous life still can't quite get used to it. Dean calls out to her and asks if he remembers correctly, doesn't the princess like oranges? She nods, saying yes, that's right. His face reddens again as he admits he was thinking of buying a rose-shaped necklace and wonders if the princess would like it. Seeing him think so seriously about the princess fills her with warmth. She never imagined Dean would grow into someone who could take the lead like this. The person he is now might really be able to make the princess happy. She looks up when Alder calls her name. He shows her a beautiful hair ornament and says, with a gentle smile, that it would suit her. She freezes, completely stunned. Then he takes her hand and says he hopes she can accept it. Her face burns as she hurriedly shakes her head, saying she can't. There's no reason for him to give her something like this. But he insists softly, saying he would be troubled if she refused. He tells her he would love to see it in her beautiful hair. She stiffens, nervous and caught off guard. What does he mean by that? He looks upset and she blurts, even if he makes a face like that, there's still no reason she should be allowed to accept such a gift. He pauses, then asks quietly if she truly won't take it. When she hesitates, he adds, how about this, then? He reminds her how much care she has shown his brother. Thanks to her, Dean has grown serious about both his training and his studies. As his older brother, he asks her to accept this as a sign of his gratitude, otherwise, it would trouble his dignity. She says that is such a forced reason, but this time she no longer looks uneasy. He gently points out that it is indeed a reason. So how about it now? After a short pause, she sighs and agrees, saying that if he insists, then she will accept it. He thanks her for taking the gift, and somehow, his words make her smile for real. Dean is growing into someone who could truly stand as the princess's fiancé. And she has even received a gift from Alder. The happiness blooming in her chest feels almost dangerous, as if she might be punished for it. Lost in those thoughts, she walks into her room, then suddenly stops. His Highness is there, leaning casually against her table. He lifts his gaze to her and apologizes for the intrusion, saying he's sorry to bother her, but he needs to speak with her. Today turned out to be an amazing day. Not only was Sir Dean able to purchase a present for the princess, she also happened to get a present from Alder as well. However, her face is completely pale. She's freaking out because she's sitting on top of a dragon, the wind rushing past her ears, and she has absolutely no idea what is going on. Just a few hours ago, she had demanded to know why he was in her room. He only chuckled, looking her up and down, and asked if she had the day off. Her clothes were plain as usual, though better than dressing up too much, at least. Next time, he added, he'd pick something out for her himself. She felt uncomfortable but still thanked him politely. He tilted his head, amused, and asked why she looked like she didn't believe him. He is Younger Highness Albert, the uncle of both the Princess Primera and Prince Arabilt, a wild-looking man with a beard. When he finally explained why he was there, she completely lost it. Father? She blurted out. Albert told her that a friend of Prince Arobert had a son working at the Riddle Company. Through him, they learned that her father had been frequently visiting the money-lending and jewelry department. Her thoughts spiral. Why would her father be going to a place like that? The Riddle Company dealt in hidden arts and dangerous finances. Many nobles were buried in debt. Yes, but normally, he wouldn't even notice such things. Still, her father didn't own a mansion on the castle grounds. Did she truly have no idea why he would go to the company's head office? No, she murmurs, her head dropping. They weren't wealthy, but they should have had enough to live properly. Albert continues, telling her that the company had refused her father's loan request. They had concerns about how he planned to use the money. Her expression drops further when Albert adds that they uncovered a reason that would upset her. Her father remarried her stepmother, had an affair with an older woman, and there were countless times she had borrowed money just to offer tribute to the castle. There's even a rumor the Grand Duchess is pregnant. Her face drains of color by the second. What's worse, she whispers shakily, the other party is. The Grand Duchess? The Grand Duchess is the princess of the Chagrin royal family who married into a crown royal family as a political marriage. However, Grand Duke died early due to epidemic, making her a widow at a young age. Even after becoming an older woman, she still has a reputation as a sensual beauty. Yulia's father is a countryside lord who has zero potential for political advancement, has a relationship with such a woman. The prince tells her that Prince Arelbert sent a message on this matter. He said the scandal her father has started cannot be overlooked any longer. Normally, he would have issued her a letter of dismissal without warning, but he's letting her know in advance since she has a good track record of serving Lady Primera, and to make sure she should prepare until then. She looks taken aback and thinks, isn't this an actual dismissal notice? Albert tells her it is just his intuition, but he doesn't think the rumored person is her father. The rumor that his brother's wife was pregnant and her father isn't the only one being watched. Perhaps they're trying to use him as a scapegoat, but there are many alternatives to father as there are country viscounts. She asks him how should she recover from this. She doesn't want to stop being a maid, and she also wants to protect her family. She thinks if things go like this, she won't be able to stay by Primera's side. He grins at her and leans in close, making her shift uncomfortably. His eyes lock with hers as he says that first, they need to find out why her father took the loan. Her face becomes red at how near he is, but he continues, explaining that after discovering the reason, they'll need an alibi to erase the rumor and he will act as her witness. She blinks at him, trying to process his words. Tilting his head slightly, He says since Arelbert gave him a heads up, there's still time. If she investigates properly, she might be able to uncover the truth. She thinks back and realizes that this is why he sent her advance notice. He then urges them to head to the territory immediately. She freezes, eyes wide, when he casually asks if she can ride the cavalry dragons, explaining that doing so will drastically cut their travel time. By the time she arrives at her mansion, her face is flushed with anger. The prince moves to stand beside her, his eyes gentle, praising her for doing well despite it being her first time riding. Her father and stepmother stare at her in shock, mouths agape. From behind, his brother calls out her name, confirming that it's really her. Mortified, he says, "Oh no," he's so embarrassed he's still in his nightwear. Cheeks heating, she introduces the prince to her family. The results of questioning her father, a certain investment failed, pushing him into debt. He then almost resorted to gambling. That was when he got to know the Grand Duchess. Being the simple man he is, he was intoxicated by her after she simply gave him a handkerchief. The debt swelled up so much his loan was refused by the ritual of the Chamber of Commerce because he had no credibility. Then he heard if they are in trouble, they should call the Talbot Company. So as he fell further into debt, through gritted teeth, she asks her father just how many loans did he take? It's likely that father was brought into an informal social gathering. In addition, he was directed to the money lending company. Something must be going on behind the scenes. There seems to be no choice but to rely on her personal connections she formed as a maid. All they need to do is three things. Firstly, improve his business relation, and publicize the fact that the Grand Duchess was gambling. With that, they can take attention away from father's gambling. As for public image, the civilians can help clear up misunderstandings. Regarding the Talbot Company and other companies, the Archbishop would be willing to help prove his innocence. The prince remarks that she has a remarkable network of people. How unexpected. She explains that now all they need to worry about is whether they can trust the Duchess to go public about her gambling. She extends her hand and demands the handkerchief her father received. He clutches it to his chest as if it were his life, insisting that it is his treasure. She scolds him strictly and snatches it from him, pointing out that it is chagrin fabric. Though this alone is weak evidence, she knows it will spark lively discussion over tea among the noble ladies. Prince Albert laughs, eyes sparkling with amusement, and comments that it might have been better for her to become a military civil official rather than a maid. She offers him a polite smile. Later that night, she stands on the terrace, unable to stop thinking about the day. The prince calls her name and walks over, thanking her for letting him stay the night. She waves it off, telling him there is no need for thanks. His gaze drifts to her hair, now loose around her shoulders, and she flushes when he says she has let her hair down. He asks if she remembers their first meeting, when her hair had gotten caught in a tree branch. Mortified, she murmurs her thanks for his help at the time. He softly says she looks better with her hair down. She looks away, embarrassed. He gently instructs her not to look away. She hesitates, aware that she is not good at maintaining eye contact with men, but she meets his gaze carefully as they continue their conversation. She thinks that without her glasses, she can't even face such a handsome man. Then, before she can react, He takes a lock of her hair and presses it to his lips. She freezes, then instinctively tilts his face toward him in disbelief. His eyes soften as he whispers that she ought to be more mindful of those around her. Since she had free time, she searched for a gambling bill in the country. But she has to do something about this soon. The person that tried to frame her father, if they are a civilian connection. She wonders if Omoto is still residing at the palace. Even if they find this person soon, there's no way to beat a merchant who's a pro at negotiation by trade. Like she thought they should first rely on aid from His Excellency the Prince and his wife, the Duchess Bianca. Since she is Primera's etiquette teacher, Bianca might lend them her strength. If she hides the name and let her know of their circumstances, Bianca would be understanding. It will take a few days for the Grand Duchess to become the topic of discussion in tea parties, so she should spread it to the ladies who gossip the most. What else can she do? With magic power that is below average and being a team-making expert, of course it should be something within her limits. When she returns to the castle, Princess Primerica rushes to her side, her excitement barely contained. She says that she heard about everything from their uncle and is glad to know that Yulia is all right. Yulia crouches in front of her and apologizes for making her worry. The princess then asks if Yulia will be meeting Big Brother next. Yulia says she will since the prince is in charge of the matter. The princess says she is sure she will be all right. Yulia thinks if not, she might have to cry in front of her brother and beg. The prince told her the crown prince is strict and rational. She wonders what kind of judgment he would pass on her. When she appears before the prince, he says it appears her father has come to confess to the archbishop. Adultery has not occurred. Since harsh punishment is unnecessary, he asks for leniency toward Lord Vindiad. But the problem is that civilians and maids, on hearing the rumors of her dismissal, have protested. She is nearly moved to tears. The prince adds that the Prime Mirror Princess is against it as well, and there are also rumors that the Duchess interrogated her husband for the truth, while his uncle also speaks highly of her. Apparently, it is not just the maids. It is good to cherish the people who love her, he says. She has been summoned for one more reason. The prince wants her to serve Primera well and tells her to continue the great work she has been putting in for his sister. Relief floods her as she realizes her dismissal declaration has been withdrawn. She can stay by Primera's side from now on. Alder flashes through her mind, and she freezes. Why does he come to mind now? The Crown Prince says he will investigate this incident further. For the time being, he needs to handle the scandal. He admits he does not expect such difficult things to happen. He explains that he is devising a plan to make it seem as though the Viscount family just got dragged into their affairs, and he intends to remove the person who started this. She stands there, forcing a smile, thinking that although she has this unsettling feeling, perhaps the climax of this story has passed. She stands with her arms crossed when Albert sneaks into the room, crawling through the window. She scoffs and asks why he is sneaking in through the window. He says that when he jumped out of his office and crawled down the tree, he saw her. Then he asks if she is still making sweets in that weird way. She replies, asking if he is unable to eat them like this. Since Alder will be coming soon, she is preparing snacks and refreshments. She has received a letter from him saying he will be visiting the palace office. She wonders if it has become dirty after all this time. She has made new sweets as a gift. It would be great if he likes them. She asks His Highness if he would like some tea. He smiles, telling her that she is being too stiff and that she can call him by his name. She says she is neither married nor socially debuted. It is unforgivable, she insists, to call a royal by their name. He leans closer and whispers in her ear that if she marries him, he does not think he would get tired of her. She does not even look at him as she refuses his kind offer. Just then, Alder walks into the room wearing a frown. He says Albert should not dishonor Yulia by saying things like that. If he hears her honor is insulted, even an apology will not save his relationship with Lady Primera. And as Alder talks about marriage, he asks if he has considered consulting His Highness first. What would he do if his older brother deems it inappropriate? Albert looks dumbfounded. He says it is obviously a joke. Alder meets his gaze without backing down and says some jokes are not funny to everyone. He would like to advise him to keep jokes to a minimum. Albert snaps back, saying geez, isn't it fine already, and then asks if he has even addressed him properly yet. She stands frozen, feeling the hostility in the room like a living thing. Every muscle in her body tenses and jumps in before things can escalate, telling both of them to calm down and requesting them to sit, as the sweets are almost ready. Both of their attention snap to her, stunned, as she uses ice magic, and they look completely shocked. She then shows them the dessert and says this is her newly created confectionery. Alder asks if it is a kind of old confectionery. Albert takes a bite with a spoon, clearly surprised, and says it tastes great. She explains that it is not extremely cold, perfect for eating in the heat of summer, and asks if it might become a popular item for tea parties. Looking too excited, she thinks it looks like it is a great success. Albert remarks that the servants were looking at him with terrified expression. She groans and tells him they will be at home with him eventually. He winks at her and says she should see him later and let him know if she wants to become his wife. After he leaves, Alder comments that he seems problematic. If there is ever a time she needs something, she should let him know. She thanks him, but then a soft smile lifts her lips, and she assures him it is fine. His younger highness helps her out too, and she feels she cannot trouble him further. She looks away, her hands busy, murmuring that she will prepare more refreshments, though her pulse still flutters with the closeness of the moment. Suddenly, his hand wraps around her arm. He asks if it is inadequate, his grip gentle but firm, and adds that he wants her to rely on him. Her heart jumps, a sharp, uncontrollable beat that makes her breath catch. She gasps his name in surprise. Just then, the head maid steps in, announcing that His Highness is calling. He releases her arm with a slight, embarrassed flush and says he will send her a letter again. She stands frozen, every nerve buzzing. Her heart feels as if it might leap entirely out of her body, but she tells herself this kindness is meant only for the sake of the marriage between Dean and Princess. The Prime Minister tastes the ice cream, and she watches him close his eyes for a moment, savoring the flavor. He remarks that the texture is smooth, the sweetness of the milk and eggs perfectly balanced, and that it melts delightfully in the mouth. She thinks this is not a gourmet show, yet she is glad he liked it. She knows the Prime Minister does not tolerate half-hearted efforts in matters of passion. Anyone who seeks guidance from him will receive nothing short of excellence. He clears his throat and shifts the discussion back to the matter at hand. Though the rumors surrounding the Grand Duchess and her father were a misunderstanding, he cannot hide that her father summoned her personally. So the reason he called her is to restore the honor of Viscount Vandiad. They should publicly introduce her as the daughter of Viscount Vandiad, timed perfectly for Her Highness Primera's birthday at the end of this month. Her mind reels, 1,000 thoughts spinning too fast to grasp. She stands frozen, mouth slightly open. Her high society debut? The social debut. In this world, it is a way of announcing a young woman's marriageable status. In preparation for this event, many aristocratic daughters take etiquette lessons at the palace in their teens. Then, on the day of their debut, they present themselves glamorously to find a marriage partner. She thought she could avoid this by becoming a maid. She cannot believe she's making her social debut at this age. The Prime Minister did not even tell her the reason. Christopher brings her a letter from the Prime Minister's office. She turns it over, wondering who it is from, but then freezes. The Queen Dowager? The Queen tells her in the letter that she heard about everything. To recover from her father's scandal, she must have a social debut. This will be the scenario the daughter of Wisconsin shows her half-brother's succession over her own social debut. She remained as a maid, so her half-brother could be the family's heir. Pained by his daughter's sacrifice, the troubled Viscount tried his best to give her a social debut, but because he shouldered debt from a failed investment, he could only ask a high-ranking noble for advice. This resulted in bad rumors about the Viscount. After learning about the heart-wrenching truth, the Queen sympathized with the Vandiad family. She announced that she would support Union's social debut and her half-brother's position as heir. Yulia says what a tearful story, but she's afraid it is not going to be that easy. But with this scenario, her father's scandal will be turned into a touching story, right? And if she makes her social debut, she is allowed to call Primera by name, so this has to be done. Later, the Queen watches her closely as the ladies move around her, soft murmurs filling the room while careful hands take her measurements for the dress to be made. The Queen speaks with warmth, saying she is deeply grateful to her. Thanks to her, Primera is growing up well. She answers that the Queen should not say such things. She is simply happy to serve Her Highness. The Queen smiles at that, a gentle, knowing expression, and remarks that the very least she can do is give her a proper dress. As the measuring continues, she feels a strange mix of gratitude and unease. She thinks she is grateful to be here for the measurements, yet she wonders if there is truly a dress that will suit her. The old maid gives her a thumbs up, as if telling her she will do her best. She asks the old maid what she is designing. The reply comes that it will be revealed on the day of the debut. Later, they are seated in the garden. The queen asks if she has heard about what happened recently, that a chagrin civil officer working for the Talbot Company was the one who framed her father. She remains seated, frozen in place. Nobles from the Chagrin Kingdom are backing the civil officer. It seems like an investigation has been carried out in secret because her father wasn't the only person who fell into debt from gambling. The queen says it seems like that Talbot Company recently acquired the right to trade in Chagrin. Chagrin planned to collude with Talbot and squeeze dry their kingdom's aristocracy to rebuild their own economy. Yulia gulps down and murmurs so they're planning to curtail Karam's national power by letting the aristocracy drown in gambling. The queen says it is such a lousy plan, they must have been desperate to use the Grand Duchess to trade foreign currency. A smirk curls onto the queen's face as she remarks that the Grand Duchess and the Chagrin nobles are foolish. In response, Yulia's own smile freezes. It is a scary smile. She cannot help wondering where the queen even obtained such classified information. The queen waves it off, saying it is not a big deal. She continues, almost casually, that she even knows how Primera's future brother-in-law visits Yulia. The moment the queen smiles again as she says it, Yulia goes completely still. The queen adds that he brought chocolate from a nearby town and gave it to the knight apprentice. She smiles at Yulia and tells her not to worry, that the information is safely kept in her heart. Yulia thinks that means it is already out in the open, doesn't it? The queen's expression softens as she smiles and says that even though Yulia is known as the Iron Wall Maid, she is still a person of flesh and blood. Yulia wonders why others fail to understand something so obvious. The queen pokes her nose playfully and adds that she, too, can get upset if teased even a little. She knows it is impossible for her to do anything with that knight right now. Then the queen hands her several papers and tells her that these are things Yulia needs to memorize for her social debut. While she's doing this task, Primera's birthday is fast approaching. The royal palace is busy preparing for it. The maid tells her this cannot do. She's about to make her social debut. What if she gets hurt? The butler, however, says they will take care of the paperwork. He thinks it is better for her to take dance lesson. She watches them, thinking they have taken over her work as a maid. She also wanted to focus on preparing for Primera's birthday party rather than her social debut. She has a lot of spare time now. She might as well think about how to deal with the remaining debt problem. The Chamber of Commerce is at odds with its opponent, the Talbot Company. Talbot is a new force that started to expand business, mainly in the gold lending industry. Although the Royal Purveyor Riddle Company is the largest money lender, he thinks it will be difficult to rely on since its standards are very strict. Then how about the Diender Company? Diender deals with daily necessities, food, and more. It is a humble and trustworthy ally for the common people. She is also familiar with it. More than anything, the late concubine was born there. She knows the chairman, so it will be nice if she can guide her. The uproar Viscount Vandy had caused intertwined many people together. It is finally the day of her social debut. On the day of the debut, the maid stands frozen, her mouth hanging completely open. For a moment, she cannot believe her eyes. Yulia looks wonderful. The design is unlike anything the maid has ever seen before, yet it suits her so well it feels as if it was made only for her. Yulia turns to the mirror. She cannot believe how well the mermaid style fits her body shape. The old maid is truly an innovative designer. Just then, Merrick arrives and calls out to her. Startled, she turns and asks him if she looks weird. He answers immediately that she does not. He says she looks very beautiful, so much so that she might even find a marriage partner today. She shuts that down at once, telling him it is not going to happen. Her thoughts drift as her nerves rise. Without her glasses, she cannot fully relax. She does not notice the look Merrick gives her until he points a finger at her and says that even if suitors pursue her, she does not have to marry early. He adds that he will be the one to decide who his sister marries. She stiffens, feeling awkward, and tells him she is glad he is trying to ease her nerves, but he cuts her off, saying that she is supposed to talk about these things too, that this is part of it. Then she smiles at him, calmer now, and says she does not plan on getting married for the time being. There are things she cannot do until Primera gets married herself. Merrick stares at her, visibly taken aback. For a moment, he looks at her in pure awe before turning his gaze away. He says he does not mind if that is how she feels. When she catches his wide smile afterward, she cannot help thinking that he is acting strange. Anyway, she has to make sure Primera's birthday party and her social debut are a success. Merrick glances toward the entrance and says that it is time. At that very moment, the man's voice rings out, announcing her entrance along with her brothers. She knows this is once in a lifetime's grand stage.